When it comes to Japanese anime and manga, there are all kinds of strange ones out there, and the new game Punchline is basically a visual novel and anime combined into one. But is this one a visual novel knockout, or is the only punchline you buying this game? Punchline is a visual novel with a bit of anime finesse thrown in. This means that there's a bunch of actual full animated cutscenes that you'll see scattered throughout the game, and the game is told in a very much anime perspective, with episodes that are broken up by an opening, credits, and even an in-between title sequence. Punchline was originally released on Japanese PS4s and Vita in 2016, making its way in English now for PS4, Vita, and Windows in 2018. There was a 12-episode anime that preceded the game in 2015. Like always in my reviews, I'll try to do my best to avoid spoilers as much as possible. In Punchline, you're playing as Yuta. After a bus he's on gets hijacked, he's separated from his body, and as a spirit, starts to be guided by a cat. Yeah, it sounds strange, and it just gets stranger from there. The game, of course, is very much text and story heavy. There's anime cutscenes thrown out, a little bit of gameplay here and there, but for the most part, you're going to be reading a lot of text. Before becoming just the spirit, Yuta lived in an apartment with a group of other interesting characters, including Mika-tan, a girl who ends up becoming the superheroine Strange Juice at night, Micah, a brainy scientist who helps her out, Robora, a poor girl who seemingly cannot get her life together, so she ends up eating and binge drinking on a semi-regular basis, and lastly, Ido, who has a pet baby bear named Muhi and is very much into an online mech video game. While the plot involves the world getting destroyed and an ability called Uber 5 powers that both Mika-tan and Yuta end up possessing, basically this allows Yuta, anytime he sees a girl's panties, to get super powerful, but if he ends up seeing the same girl's panties twice, he blows up, causing the world to end. In the game, how this works is if you stare at the panties of any of the girls you're interacting with for too long, the meter fills up, you blow up, and you'll have to go back to the previous beginning checkpoint and try again. What the gameplay is, though, is playing tricks and then setting up a trick chain on the residents of the apartment complex you're living in. Usually this is to get them to go into rooms, interact with one another, or get items to be spread across the rooms, and this gets more elaborate as the game goes on. The way you end up doing this is you have a limited number of moves you're able to do, and a set variety of items you're able to interact with in all of the girls' rooms. Sometimes you're just in one room, and with the chains you'll have to go and move between multiple rooms in order to get the chain to go off correctly. Every time you interact with an object, the girl will potentially react. Sometimes she doesn't, and you may have just blown your chance to set up the best possible scenario. In just the tricks, your main goal is to seemingly just get the girl to fall into a compromising position so you can get a panty shot. Where in the chain thing, you're doing the more elaborate plot of trying to get the girls to go into different rooms or things to happen, and in order for this to end up going off, you have to set everything up, and then one final thing which sets off the chain reaction. Thankfully, they tell you which this action is, so you're able to know when it's time to actually set it off. Every time you successfully pull off these moves and scare the girls into these compromising positions, you do end up getting points and leveling up, which allows you to interact with more objects the next time out. All of this is broken up between long segments of either anime cutscenes or text that you'll have to read. The game is very much set up like an anime, and because of this, it's very easy to kind of follow along or take breaks at different points. There's always kind of cliffhangers leaving off, and it does a good job of making you want to see what the next chapter ends up having. The poltergeist-like gameplay of interacting with objects, reminding me of the classic Haunting on Sega Genesis, was nice, but I wish there was a bit more to it. It usually was pretty easy to figure out what I needed to do, either tricking the girls or setting up the chain. From the technical side of things, though, I'm happy to report there's no crashing or other major issues. Punchline is available on PS4 for $49.99, and it does feature a Platinum Trophy. The game is also available on Vita for $39.99 as well as PC. Overall, Punchline was one of those games I saw coming up as an easy trophy game back in 2016 when the game originally came out. Now, a few years later, playing it on PS4, what I got was not only an easy trophy game, but an enjoyable visual novel anime crossover that I enjoyed more than I thought I would. Obviously, you have to like this kind of game to get into it, and the bits of gameplay, while nice, are more of a little distraction than enough to be worth picking up the game just for it. With everything said, I'm going to be giving Punchline on the PS4 a 7 out of 10. That's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.